Originally to be a big-time matchup at welterweight between Ecuador's Michael Morales and Rinat Fakhretdinov, on 2 weeks' notice, it was announced by Marcel Dorff, December 2nd to be exact, that Pooh Bear Bryan battle would be stepping in on short notice to take on the Gladiator. And if I know anything about Vegas Golden Knights hockey, or even the Henderson Silver Knights, it's that the Gladiator usually always wins. So for Fakhretdinov, a big-time opportunity, and for both of these guys, long-time former middleweights. But listen, all of the pre-fight talk on this card is going to be around Jared Cannonier's physical transformation from heavyweight to middleweight. Bryan Battle's first amateur fight in 2017, he weighed 141 pounds. He's a former heavyweight that's competing at welterweight. And for Battle, his last time out, making that move down to 170 pounds, a lot of questions about the gas tank. But a lot of questions are still going to be out there when you finish Takashi Sato picking up a performance bonus in the first minute with that head kick. So Battle looked amazing his last time out. But for Fakhretdinov, a guy that spent so long at middleweight, his last time out, he's making his UFC debut against Andreas Michailidis. He pushed a pace. He looked really good at welterweight, didn't you think?
He did look really good, and I was worried about how the weight cut was going to affect him. But like you said, we both kind of had those question marks surrounding both these athletes in their last fights. And the weird thing about Bryan Battle is, and I just want to focus on him for a second, I was really surprised to see he was able to make weight against Takashi Sato. I'm not going to make that a secret whatsoever. I did not think he was going to be able to make the 170 effectively and be able to compete really well at that weight class. And like you said, the question marks are still going to be out there surrounding his gas tank because the fight was over so quick against Sato, and Sato wasn't really in his prime, let's be honest. Like, there was a better version of him in the past, and I think that is fair to say, but Battle did answer a lot of those questions that I had, at least going into that matchup. And the thing that I want to say about Battle is, I hope he never falls in love with his power at this weight class, because that's the thing that I think Battle's going to have over a lot of fighters in the welterweight division. He is a good striker, he's a very rangy striker, he has tremendous power in the welterweight division, but the problem is, you'd hate for him to ever really fall in love with it and try to sit down on his shots, because even go back and watch the head kick he was able to land on Sato. Is there a wind-up on that head kick? Not really. He just throws the technique, and then power comes naturally. It's like what they said about Aaron Judge for so many years. Don't try to hit home runs, and the home runs will come because you naturally have that power. It was nice to see that Battle at least resembled the fighter that we had seen at 185, but the thing is, and I've got to say this based on the last Ultimate Fighter we have, I have to throw up so many red flags anytime we have Ultimate Fighter fighters in the UFC at this point, just because you never really know what you're going to get until you do have a 3, 4, 5 fight sample size. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I do like the wins that Battle did have on the show, though. I mean, you beat Andre Petrosky. He's looked great in the UFC. You beat a guy like Gilbert Urbina, who's in there, who's down there, who's got that dog in him. But if you look at it for Battle, I mean, he beats Tresean Gore, monkey off your back, so to speak, when you're looking at, hey, Tresean Gore was supposed to be the champ. Battle's able to get the win, and then he gets the win over Takashi Sato. And for Rinat Fakhretdinov, he was 20-2 coming into the UFC. Then he was 18-1, and now he's 19-1. His record's kind of switched around. But what we do know out of Rinat Fakhretdinov is the fact that he is a former GFC champ over there, the kind of Khabib promotion before it kind of merged with Eagles FC. And if you look at it for Rinat, he was the champ. He beat Alberto Uda, who fought in the UFC, who was 0-2. But out of that, the quotable, I don't fight against my brothers due to religious beliefs. They are Muslim, and I don't fight against my brothers. So he relinquished his belt there, took a lot of time off, fought Eric Spicely on that UAE Warriors card, and while Salt Bay was there salting stuff up, and Habib and Dana, they were having the meeting behind closed doors, and we're going to try and get him back. Out of all of that, Rinat gets the win, but then he takes over a year off and makes his UFC debut against Michailidis, and for his troubles, I mean, he did look really good. You do know him for the fact that he is good with the takedowns. He's going to have that over most of the guys that he takes on, but his striking is really wild, and it's not good. It's looping, it's heavy. He leaves himself out there to be countered.
Can I be fair, though? I feel like saying it's not good is a bit of an exaggeration. You're right, it is wild, but it has been effective up until this point in his career. Like, when he does land, it is devastating. So, I don't know if I'd say it's bad. It is very wild, but when he's able to land shots, he knocked out Eric Spicely with one punch and just sent him flying. Eric Spicely's a big guy who has fought some really good fighters in the UFC, beat Thiago Santos by a rear naked choke. I'm just saying, I don't think you can just say Fakhretdinov's a bad striker because he is unorthodox with his strike.
And if you do look at it for Fakhretdinov, his backgrounds are combat sambo and pancration, you know, just slapping guys down. Boss Rutan would absolutely love this fighter if we ever had him on commentary in the UFC, but if you look at the odds in the matchup, they don't really have any. So again, this fight was made on 2 weeks notice, so I'll have a look at the Topology votes. Surprise to us, they are to you. I'm gonna add in this little bit of information. Rinat Fakhretdinov had a giant following outside of the UFC, and I'm assuming the fans are gonna go with him in this one. I'm gonna say over under 72.5% for the Gladiator here.
I think they'll be under.
I think they're gonna be under. They're under, and they actually favor Battle. I feel like you looked these up beforehand. 482 total votes, 56% Battle, 64% by decision for the 44% that have Fakhretdinov, 76% by decision. We didn't actually talk about their fighting styles all that much before we went with the votes. So go ahead.
Bryan Battle's a natural striker. Fakhretdinov's a wild. Like, that's my big issue with this matchup. If Fakhretdinov's not able to get consistent takedowns, I do think he's going to leave himself open at a certain point on the feet. And the question mark with Battle is he doesn't have great volume. He doesn't have great knockout power, even though I spent a large majority of the early part of this video stating how good his knockout power is. I think it will translate down to 170 pounds because of how big of an athlete he is. But again, he's not someone who's really going to wow you with how busy he is in the octagon. So maybe if Fakhretdinov is able to get 2, 3, 4 takedowns, that could be enough to negate some of the good work Bryan Battle's able to do on the feet. I just think for me, and the reason why I said under for the votes is, since we don't have odds, if you were to ask me where would I put the odds in this matchup, honestly, I think Battle's going to be like a minus 155.
And I think Fakhretdinov is going to be like a minus 200. Seriously.
That's fair. I just think with Fakhretdinov and his style, he leaves himself so wide open for a striker like Bryan Battle. And again, I'm not saying Battle's going to knock him out. I think that's a very difficult prediction to make. Oh, this guy's going to stop the other. But I just think styles make fights, to quote the great Mike Goldberg. And the way Fakhretdinov leaves himself open, I think Bryan Battle is the type of striker who can exploit some of that. And the thing I want to mention too is Bryan Battle throws great knees at the middle, throws really good attacks at the middle. Those are things that are going to land if Fakhretdinov's throwing those big looping shots.
And Battle was a big favorite his last time out against Takashi Sato, and so was Fakhretdinov. So Battle was a minus 300 against Sato, Fakhretdinov minus 280 against Mikhailis. Both guys had really good showings for Fakhretdinov. Two judges scored at 30-26, 130-27, but he was able to ground out Mikhailis. He did get hit by spinning wheel kick, and then he kind of dropped down into a takedown off of it because Mikhailis fell down. He looked over at his corner, and he gave him the wink, which was really crazy. And if I could show footage, I would show it here. I know everybody wishes we could, but this isn't Major League Baseball, or this isn't the NBA. But when it does come down to this matchup, I favor Bryan Battle, and for the X factor that is, he has lights out jiu-jitsu too. And when you consider it against a guy like Fakhretdinov, I think sweeps are going to be available to him, and I think he's going to be able to implement and at least threaten with some of his jiu-jitsu. So I think for the complete package, I'll go with Battle, but if Fakhretdinov open is a big favorite, in my mind, it wouldn't surprise me. So both of us going with Pooh Bear, Bryan Battle to get the win in the matchup. Let us know down below. I know there's so many Gladiator Fakhretdinov fans that you're going to be down there in the comment section. Let us know who you have at the top of this card. Cannonier versus Strickland. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.